we're live. Welcome back to another episode.
Sometimes Ciabatta slaps. Finish the sentence.
Okay, take two. Welcome back to another episode of Sometimes Ciabatta Slaps.
I'm Mak.
I'm Jubes.
And today our episode is book club number 4.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Number 4.
And also, happy Valentine's Day.
Yes, it's Love Day today.
We decorated for you guys.
Do you see?
And I'm wearing just a hideous necklace that doesn't light up because I bought it from the dollar store. Which is so sad.
I love how Journey's like, I got this tacky necklace from the dollar store. I want to wear it.
Yeah, I was like, that's dibs.
She's just so disgusted
Dibs
by
on
it.
the gaudy necklace.
And she's like, I want it.
I want it. And I bought this beautiful little porcupine fellow.
Because our book this month is How to Hug a Porcupine.
How to Hug a Porcupine. I called it How to Kill a Porcupine at work the other day, and I was like, ooh. No, not a good book.
No. How to Hug a Porcupine.
Yes.
Yes, and so this month's book club episode is How to Hug a Porcupine by Dr. Debbie Joffe Ellis.
See?
That's what we can figure out for the author?
Yes.
But
yeah.
I figure out it's like the internet has like 4 different names for this book, and so I don't know who is the original.
If we are attributing this book to the wrong person, let us know and we can fix that.
Yeah.
Make sure our little porcupine guy's just right there. Yeah, so this book is shorter than any of our other books. I believe it's the shortest one that we've read.
Yeah, it's also the least dense. Like it's a very, very quick read.
It's a very, very easy read. The information is very digestible. It's written very plainly. Yeah, I would say.
Yeah, I agree with plainly.
Yeah,
we're gonna go through the book chapters as we do normally, and then we're gonna give our personal opinions about the book towards the end.
Yeah, so this book is it's a literal manual for how to deal with difficult people in your life with a step-by-step guide advising you on how to act when you're around a porcupine. Mm-hmm. And so
chapter 1 gets into a porcupine as a whole. It kind of gives you like this like animal background personified into people.
Yeah. It kind of like it describes why they chose porcupine for this metaphor of a person. Mm-hmm. And so they do talk about porcupines in like Native American history and like their meaning and larger things and kind of that. I did learn in this chapter that the porcupine name is directly translated into thorny pig. Which I thought is hilarious. Yeah. But yeah, the author mentions that they're not thorny or pig. So like right from the very start, they're a misunderstood animal. Mm-hmm.
It's like the angsty teenager of the animal kingdom.
Pretty much. That's a really great description. And baby porcupines are called porcupets. And I didn't know that. And I think that is so cute.
Was it porcupines that like in one of the early episodes that...
Yeah, that you didn't know live in Alberta.
Wow, full circle. That's hilarious.
Yep. They do live in Alberta, and they live everywhere, according to this book.
Everywhere?
Well, porcupines is a metaphor. Porcupines is a person. Like, you can find them in your local superstore.
I see porcupines in northern Finland. I don't know. The Arctic
Maybe
Circle.
not the animal, but definitely the person. But yeah, basically, chapter 1 is just like, what does a porcupine as a person look like and act like, and like what is a porcupine person?
The personified traits of the animal.
Yes. And then chapter 2 is titled A Basic Guide to Understanding Porcupines.
This one long.
Yes. Very long.
And at times repetitive.
Yes, there was a lot of repetition in chapters 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you go through and it's like they'll say something like respect the boundaries, respect their fears.
Yeah.
But also know that you have your fears and boundaries.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this could have been condensed.
Yeah, if it felt very repetitive. And I feel like if they had, I'm just re-saying what you said.
This could be condensed.
Yeah, this could be condensed into just one chapter on each of these things. Because, yeah, it did get a bit competitive. Repetitive.
Do you want to respect their boundaries or their fears? Which one do you have to choose? First place gets to pick.
Oh my goodness. But going on a completely separate tangent, some of these things were really good to hear. Like, their quills are a result of past injuries and aren't necessarily meant to hurt us. Mm-hmm. So it's like, and mixed with the more you learn that their aggressive behavior is about them figuring out their own emotions or issues, the easier it will be to work to find a solution. When you combine those together, that's incredible advice.
Yeah. Using the quills as symbolism as like they're most often words delivered with aggression. Like when someone's having a harsh day, if you have like a snippy, I don't know, you come across anyone, they're just like very sharp and very...
Yeah. Their tone is just very like angry.
If you're someone who's very sensitive or very soft soul, or even just like, I don't know, just a basic human being and who doesn't like being yelled at for no reason. Yeah. It's very easy to take that as like, whoa, buddy, like what's up with you? And then you get defensive too, right?
Exactly.
It's like the hissing match that can happen there.
Yeah.
If you realize like, if you reflect on it in a way where you can just like step back and be like, listen, they're having an off day. I'm just gonna step to the side.
Their anger isn't directed at me. I just need to kind of soothe them so we both come out of this unscathed.
But in terms of like a relationship or something that's a little more intimate and it's not just a stranger, knowing that it's not personal or the reminder.
Yes.
That's the word. I was like the reflection. No, the reminder that it's like it's not personal can be very helpful, especially if you are a highly sensitive individual.
Exactly. Yeah, I know that in any of my like disagreements with a porcupine, if I was to look back and be like, okay, they're not angry at me, there's something else going on, they're in their state of survival or whatever, and they're just choosing to lash out at me. So my least favorite part about this chapter was the like subsection reassure them that it's going to be all right by using their name. To me, and I talked to my mom about this, if I was a porcupine in this situation and my quills were up and I was mad and I was ready to start firing and you went, Journey, you need to calm down, that would not help.
No.
Using my name, especially because it's like being middle named. Like when your mom yells like, Michaela Joy, like that, it strikes fear into my heart. It doesn't make my quills go down. It makes them go up way more. Yeah. If someone was to use my actual name in an argument, if I was the porcupine. Go by Ben
and then suddenly you're being called like Benjamin.
Benjamin, no.
And you're like, whoa.
Yeah, right? And I was like talking to my mom, I was like, how would you feel about this? She's like, oh, no, that would not help. That would not be good.
No, and I can understand, like, in that case, like, if you're talking to, like, someone and you're, like, you're trying to, but, like, what do police do, though? Like, because, like, this is a lot of, like, similar advice to when you're talking, like, someone down, like, you
like
use
bring
their first
them
name
back to reality.
Yeah, you use their first name to make it personal in that sense. So I think that's what they're trying to go at with this.
But, like,
they went about it so wrong.
Yeah, I'm like, if I'm already in an intimate relationship with this person and they start using my full name, it's not going to calm me down. It's going to make things so much worse because I'm going to be so worried, like, okay, what's wrong now? Yeah. Like, why are you using my birth name? Yeah. Like, yeah. I don't know. That was just my least favorite part. But, like, I understand where they're coming from, is use soothing tones to kind of just, like, remind them, hey, I'm not the enemy. Like, we can work through this together. Don't even worry about it. Yeah. But. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
And one thing that they noted, too, is that, like, attack mode is usually their last resort. Yeah. So when you're feeling attacked by a porcupine, like, note that they've supposedly done everything else prior to this argument.
Yeah. Exactly.
Supposedly.
And some other advice that was kind of just not great was to get thick skin so your porcupine quills don't hurt as bad. And I feel like that's not great advice, because it's letting the porcupine be a porcupine with no consequences for porcupining. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like,
new drinking game. How I take a sip every time we say porcupine in this episode.
Literally, that's probably unsafe. Don't actually do that. It'll kill you.
Of water.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
or
hydrated.
kombucha or something really healthy.
So hydrating.
Yeah. But yeah, so basically, yeah, chapter 2 just like gives you tips and tricks to deal with human porcupines, how to work through a confrontation, basically like steps of how to do that.
I guess another thing too with this is like it's all about trying to reason with them. And where in many cases, if they are the one in distress, yeah, you should support them.
Yeah.
But in certain cases with a porcupine, it's not always like harmless.
No, definitely not.
And that's where it's almost, at what point do you just walk away from that kind of situation?
Well, because this chapter definitely really felt like you're enabling the porcupine.
Yeah.
Like you're allowing them to have these feelings without ever being like, hey, you're actually being incredibly rude and disrespectful right now. I need you to think about how you're acting and fix that before you come to me, because I don't deserve to be treated like this.
Yeah. And not to make it all about yourself, but a lot of this book was like, push your feelings aside. It's good.
Yeah.
They can, like, they're hurting more than you are. It's
exactly.
fine. Like, what I like about this book is I really tried to, like, nail in that you should come with, like, approach these situations with a lot of empathy and compassion. You should just overall just, like, try to be a compassionate person. And in the foreword, Debbie talks about...
Debbie, we're on first name basis.
Dr.
We
Ellis.
read her book, so we know her.
Dr. Debbie Ellis. She talks about, like, if you come at compassion and blah, 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 the world's going to be a better place, which I agree. And, like, you only let things upset you if you allow them to upset you.
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
And that's where a lot of psychology, when you talk about studies of, like, illnesses and stuff, a lot of it is not from stress itself, but perception of stress.
Exactly.
Right? And everyone's stresses are different. And so someone like a porcupine, they're a little bit more short-fused and might be thinking, wow, this is like game over, end of the world, where someone else experiencing the same thing is like, that's Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, it just depends on, like, your previous life experience. And what was it? You're like... we talked about it in attachment styles, like when you're a kid, you're easy or hard to get to know. Temperament, yeah. A temperament was just not in my brain at all. Like, yeah, you're just the temperament you were born with would also influence that.
Yeah, and that's where it's all good. And I personally agree with that part of things. I just think that this chapter missed the mark on that.
Yeah, like they had such good intentions and you can see what they were trying to say, but it's not how it came across. Yeah, I don't know.
And also things like avoid porcupine strangers so you can focus on your porcupine.
Yeah, I'm like,
whoa, there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, because that was like the last section of chapter 2 is just like, if, like, don't deal with porcupines out in the wild, because how are you going to deal with the one you have at home? And I'm like, maybe if your porcupine at home is always a porcupine and there's nothing you can do to make their quills ever go down, you should be having different conversations with your porcupine. Yeah.
Deflect an attack with kindness. Like, I get it.
Yeah, it is really, really good advice. It's just very poorly communicated. Yeah, it's just very poorly communicated.
Well, some advice to, like, plan ahead. As with most things in life, it helps to be prepared before a potential confrontation. wow, that was a hard sentence to come out. Decide how you're going to deal with your porcupine and stick with it, a plan.
Yeah.
If you're having to constantly be in defense mode.
Yeah.
In retaliation to defense mode.
It's not fair.
How's that a solution?
Well, and also as someone with undiagnosed generalized anxiety, I plan out every single conversation I have with anyone about everything ever.
Yeah.
So doing this for porcupines, if I think this conversation is going to go poorly, I'm not going to have it. Mm-hmm. Because I've already worked through it in my head. And I'm like, oh, this is how this is going to end. So there's no point in even bringing up this topic, you know?
Yeah. But then the next page after plan ahead, it says patience is virtue. And yes, it is.
100%.
Right? Don't get angry. Like if you're approaching, and that's any kind of confrontational thing, right?
Yeah.
Even personal work, whatever. If you go in guns a-blazing, people aren't going to listen to you.
No, definitely not.
Right?
And you need to go into these confrontations with open ears, definitely, but not so open that you're like, it's just going right through. Like you need to be able to hear what they're saying, but deal with it in a way that like de-escalates the problem and protects you as well without just enabling their poor behavior. Yeah.
And on the thick skin page, I just going through it. At the very end, it's like your porcupine will burn through their energy quickly, and once. Wow. Whoa. Hey, that was a typo. Your porcupine will burn through her energy quickly, and once he does, you will be on top. Slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah. I wish they had used they, them pronouns in this book because they try and switch to be gender inclusive so that it's not just blaming women, but the she pronoun is used way more than the he pronoun, and there were so many spelling mistakes. I'm sorry, but I don't like that. I can't do it.
Well, it's hard to come at it with like, if you're going to it for advice, it's hard to come at it with like professionalism and be like, and actually take advice from something that is
spelling mistakes.
Yeah, not like unedited. It feels like the rough draft of this book.
So unless we just found the rough draft of this book somehow,
yeah, but why would it be so everywhere?
Yeah. I don't know.
And then so section 3 it talks about more like porcupines where they dwell, like their relationships and work and home and
yeah,
yada yada yada.
I liked this one in the sense that like it's I lost my whole thought, but I like that they went into what porcupines can look like in work, in relationships, at home, as a parent, as a kid, blah 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 blah. I have feelings about one section that I texted Michaela about the parent one, which, like, again, I agree with the underlying message. I do not agree with what the author actually said. And I don't know if that's my personal experience getting in the way of what they said.
Do you want to get into it?
Yeah, so it was like your porcupine as your kid. And they were like, if you feel like they're watching TV or playing video games or doing stuff too much and not actually communicating and spending time with you, and you're like losing that line of communication, what you need to do is take away their Xbox and their TV and blah, 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 and teach them how to play cards. And I'm like, forcing your kid to learn a new card game is not going to make their porcupine quills go down whatsoever. Because why couldn't you as the parent learn how to play the Xbox game or watch the show with them? Because there's ways you can connect with someone doing things that they like to do, even though they're generally like frowned upon. Like we don't want to obviously promote screen time for young kids, but if you have a 12-year-old who's excited about playing Call of Duty or whatever, learn to play Call of Duty as well, and then you can play with them. So I didn't like that it was all on the porcupine to make that move then, because in my experience, if I was reading a book or playing a game or watching a show and my parents were like, hey, you have to learn how to play Old Maid with me right now, I am going to be a huffy puffy teenager about it, and I'm not going to enjoy that, and it's not going to benefit our relationship.
Yeah. And where I agree with that sentence along the lines of like, if it's If devices are used as a distraction for connection, then yeah, set them aside. They should be learned when to put down and when you're not being like hooked on this.
Yeah, I agree. Like the no phones at the dinner table. Like,
yeah.
It was just the like.
But it's the whole adjust everything that you enjoy doing just to do something you don't enjoy doing.
Yeah, so that your parent can feel better about it. Yeah. Yeah, because it's like, just teach them all these new rules about things. I'm like, well, why can't you new rules? Why can't you new rules? Why can't you learn new things as well?
Yeah.
Because I don't know, relationships go both ways, right? Like,
yeah. And in a sense of like a game like what she was talking about, right? If you're talking about like Mario Kart, Mario Kart's a fun interactive game. Right? You can get into it with people. You don't need to be playing Monopoly to get into it with people, right? It doesn't have to be the digital versus manual in that sense makes no difference.
Yeah, and I think that that is just kind of a sign of when this book was written, is because technology hasn't increased to the point where it has now, which I actually don't know what year this book was written. Okay, so it was written in 2009.
Or this version that we're reading was, published in 2009.
Yeah, technology was still very much viewed as a bad guy in 2009. That's kind of when, like, kids started playing it more and it became more accessible and everyone was like, oh my goodness, but what about board games?
I guess when I got my DS was 2009.
Yeah.
Around then.
Yeah, that's kind of when it became just a bit more accessible and stuff, and people just didn't, it was change, right? So they didn't know what to do with it.
I'm just on the Amazon page right now for the reviews, and someone had the same thing that you're just saying right now. It's like, this book's titles and cover are cute. I listened to it 4 or 5 times, but to be honest, the only thing I learned was that baby porcupines are called porcupets. So this book is common sense. Don't take things personally. Ask people what's going on. Communicate openly. Listen without interrupting. It's very basic, common sense things that I can imagine some humans would lack the basic skills if emotional intelligence is not their strong point.
That's all my feelings. We can end the episode now. That's exactly what I wanted to say. That's all I wanted to say about this book. Oh my gosh, I love that.
What do we do now?
I don't know. Let's just keep going. Yeah, so like, did you find what was your thoughts on the porcupine at work?
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it because I've definitely had the experiences with work, whether it be bosses, coworkers, or whatnot. The key points that I have written down for this is stay firm but not stubborn, and look for outside interests to form a bond. Yeah. Like, that makes sense, right? Especially when you're spending so much time with someone. Yeah. And if you don't get along like perfectly, but you have to professionally, because it's where you're earning income from, right? But specifically the stay firm but not stubborn is like just to say no to certain working conditions or things like that. That's where I've had to use that kind of thing where, like, I'm not doing that. That's not in my job description. Yeah. Sorry. And
that's definitely something that I need to get better at. Right? Yeah, I liked I didn't like the find a common interest until right now, when the way you phrased it. Because I was thinking more about, like, boss and employee, and the way they had the boss lined out in this chapter was just very, like, you need to do everything to appease them. So find a common interest that they enjoy or whatever, and then do it as a way to, like, suck up so they don't get their porcupine quills on you.
Oh, okay.
But when you say it like that, like, just finding common interests with the people you work with to make working with them a little bit better. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. Yeah.
So you can have something to talk about, so you're not just so separate and disinterested and whatnot. Yeah. That's where, I mean, I agree with, right? Because, like, you're not going to get along with everyone you work with. You're not going to get along with everyone you communicate with, right? But especially in a work environment, to keep things professional, you don't have to be best friends, but you should be like, oh, hey, did you watch the game? Like,
you should be
small talk, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and the types of porcupine that you can find at work are, like, chronic complainers, shouting bosses, pessimists, etc.
Yeah.
Chronic complainers.
I'm one. I feel like I'm one. I really feel like I'm the porcupine at work. When I was reading this, I was like, I am nasty at work. I'm just not happy, and I don't want to be there, and I'm grouchy, and I'm mean. And I just don't want to be there.
You know what I was just about to say?
What?
I think I find chronic complainers the hardest. Even though I get in my moods too.
Yeah, I feel like, definitely be both of us.
We alternate.
Yeah.
At work.
Yeah, there's definitely times where we were both just like upset about life. Mm-hmm. But it's like, I guess we're probably not chronic. Yeah. I'm really trying not to be chronic complainer, but I feel like I definitely am a little bit. But like, how much of that is like a healthy venting?
Yeah, and that's your walking line of venting versus like chronic complaining.
Yeah.
Like, is this whole podcast chronic complaining?
Okay. Right now, feels like it.
It's fucking...
Oh my goodness.
I think it's how you go about it and your intention behind everything, right? Mm-hmm. And that's where I find chronic complainers the most difficult to be around. Because again, I've had working situations where just like the one person walks in and everything in their life is wrong at all times.
Yeah.
And it's not like a healthy venting, like, oh, you're my friend, so I'm going to talk to you about this.
Yeah.
It's like a...
Nothing can ever be good enough.
Oh, my boyfriend did this, and then my best friend did this, and I can't come into work today because I have a knee injury that I slipped in the shower, and I did it. And I'm like,
yeah,
why is all this happening to you? Like, come on.
Yeah, right?
If you don't want to work, just don't work.
Just don't work. Yeah.
Like, save me the pity.
Literally. Like, I don't really care.
Like, at this point, if it happens once or twice, like, okay, yeah, fantastic, great, yeah, we'll support you through it. But if it's all the time and you complain that you don't want to be there, and then you call in sick, quote unquote, right? And things like that's where I find the most frustration. Yeah,
it's definitely frustrating when you're listening to someone complain, and it's ironic that I'm saying this, and they're not willing to do anything to change what they're complaining about. So, like, that also, like, goes into the chronic side of it, where it's like, they're complaining just to complain. Yeah. They don't actually care. Yeah. Or are willing to do anything to actually change, because once they change something, then they don't have anything to complain about. Mm-hmm. What's there left in life if you can't complain about it?
Oh, good. And then at home, it kind of divvies up into spouse, child, and parent. Yes. So for the spouse, the main takeaway that I got from it is you need to love yourself first. Mm-hmm. Communicate, negotiate, mediate, kind of stuff.
Yeah, work together. Mm-hmm. Hang in there.
With your child. Clearly explain your values, be as good as your word, which I think that second bit is so crucial. Mm-hmm. Right? Because if you're going to tell your child to eat their veggies and they're like, piss off, I don't like peas. Yeah. And you're like, well, me neither, bro, but you have to eat them and I don't have to.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, no, you can't do that.
Like,
that's not fair.
Yeah. Like, I think with children especially, personal opinion, you should look at yourself to see if they're mirroring any behaviors that they have seen. Yes. Right? Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, we talk about attachment styles. Yeah. And different things like that. Or other psychological
even premises. Love languages.
Yeah. Like, children are acting of what they're modeled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't know anything, so what they see is what they're going to do. Mm-hmm.
So if you're not being a good role model, then you get a porcupine child, it kind of makes sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so in that point...
You get a porky pet.
In that point... Maybe look inward at yourself a little bit more. Yeah. Like, instead, because all this advice is how to deal with them, but in this case, I would Uno reverse it and look at yourself.
Definitely.
And then for the parent, the main things that I took away from this one is like, that was then, this is now. Like, meet your parent as a stranger. I think that was the best advice.
Yes. That was then, this is now got me.
When you say it, and if you're saying it with spite, yeah. Yeah. But when you talk about things like transformational, like I had a lot of conversations with one of my grandmothers she would say things and I'd be like, listen, like, you can't go about it like that. Like, that's not right anymore.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, way back when. I'm like, that was then.
Yeah.
And this is now.
This is now.
No, I don't want to say it, but there are things you need to grow and communicate and learn, like, and this is where meeting your parent as a stranger, I think, is really good, because they're no longer, like, if you meet them as like a friend too, right?
Yeah.
Get to know what they like.
Yeah.
And you may not get along with them and you feel heavier because they're your parent and da-da-da-da. But I think if you try to see your parent as a person and not your parent, it separates out that emotion. And so if you don't like this person, you just know that it's like, it's nothing to do with you or them. It's just how it is.
Definitely.
That was the most weirdest way of saying that, but
and that's a weird thing about growing up, is beginning to see your parents as just people.
Yeah.
Because the whole time you grow up, is they're these amazing idols, and they still might be. And I'm not saying mine aren't amazing idols. They just are so idolized that when you grow up and you begin to see, okay, no, they're just figuring it out. They don't know what they're doing, just like us. Yeah. And I think what got me with the that was then, this is now, is that I heard it as we did the best with what we had. And that's great, and I understand that, but if you are still using the same tactics from back then now, and you're making no effort to change, then why would I give you the time of day if you're still going to treat me poorly and just excuse it for being, we're doing the best with what we can? Yeah.
You see, that's so funny. We interpreted that so different because yes, right, if you're using the same tactics as the 50s, but that's when you say that, or that's how I read it, is when you say, no, we're not doing that anymore. Yes. That's old.
Okay, yeah.
Right? This is how we should approach this now.
Yeah.
And stuff. And if that's when they're like, then you can walk away.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you can remove yourself from the situation. Yeah. But
and I definitely have a lot of personal bias with reading this. But yeah, so I feel like that's yeah.
That's so funny how we interpret that.
I know, you're like, that's my favorite part. And I was like, that was my least favorite part.
Well, as far as advice for the communication aspect of it, though, right? Like, when you're breaking it down with someone and this is all they know and this is the only thing they know and da-da-da-da-da, and you're like, okay, that's great. But I recognize that. I see that. But here's why this is problematic now.
Exactly. And right? Yeah, it's just be willing to have that conversation, which is like, I would struggle having that conversation. I would just kind of be like, okay, wow, like, no thank you, and then just remove myself from the situation rather than being like, hey, I understand that that's how you were taught, but this is actually what we're supposed to be doing now.
See, and I had those conversations.
Yeah, and we never did.
Yeah. So that's so funny how we interpret it. Okay. All right, and then so the part 4 was my...
Oh, wait 1 second. Before we move on, this is, again, personal bias coming out, but keep your porcupine parent involved. The way they worded this section, I didn't like.
You have no obligation to keep them involved.
Exactly.
If you want to keep a relationship,
yes,
keep them involved.
But they need to be willing to put in the work as well. The way they wrote this was, you need to be able to sacrifice everything in your life to keep your porcupine parent involved, and they need to put in 0 effort. And I was like, no, I don't like that.
That is not a symbiotic relationship.
No, it's not. That's just using...
If you want an emotional connection, you should keep them involved.
Yeah, definitely.
However, if you come to terms that you really don't want that connection, you can walk away.
Or you meet your parent as a stranger, you realize, okay, I don't actually like this person. I don't really... Having them in my life doesn't bring me value. It's okay to, like, cut contact.
Yeah, and that's something you... that you cross in that moment. And you really got to think about, like, if you're going to pull that cord,
you need to be prepared to back it up.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But as far as the whole, like, if you still want them in their life and this is you dealing with them, then yeah, like, you have to try to meet them halfway. Yeah.
And I just want to say that I love my mom and dad a lot. And I know they're going to be listening to this and wondering if I'm talking about them, but I'm not.
Yeah, no, this is objective. This is not a personal opinion.
Very much not.
Reflection.
Yeah. So, hi, Mom, I love you.
And so part 4 is my favorite, and it's in yourself. And I found this one to be the most, I want to say informational, but that's not the word I'm trying to say.
It's relatable, maybe?
Yeah. I found this had the most to say.
The most sensical.
Yeah. Out of everything in this book, if you're gonna read something, this section
this one
is it, and it's just a good reminder because it's like recognize your defenses, like get to know your defenses. Some people get whiny, some people get short-tempered, some people overeat, some people tune out, and then ask, like, when you notice these defenses coming up, what triggered it? And that is just the whole part of like self-reflection, just as a whole. It's just a good reminder to be self-aware, self-reflective, so that when you're interacting with people, you're not being short-tempered, whiny, whatever, reactive for and pushing blame or negative emotion onto someone else just because.
Yeah. And right? I feel like Bryce will do this with me where he'll notice that I'm getting snippy, and he'll be like, Journey, you're an adult, you need to know, like, because I'll be like, oh, like, sorry, I'm just hangry. And you're like, well, it's a good thing you're an adult and you can feed yourself, right? Like, you should be able to take care of that. Like, you're 23. And I'm like, yes, I know that. But often I don't know that I'm hangry. It's too late and I'm a porcupine. Yeah. But yeah, it's just kind of being like, no, like, you know yourself best. So know when you're being unfairly a porcupine. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. I just realized we missed porcupines out and about. Oh. But that's just being like, when you come into a porcupine, just in the wild, basically. AKA a stranger. That's the word I'm looking for.
But yeah, no, overall, this book, you don't need to read it.
I wouldn't recommend it to a friend.
I wouldn't go purchasing it.
Especially because it's impossible to find a physical copy.
Which now I know why.
Now we know why. It's not good.
Yeah, it's a drawn out way of like saying common sense, right? Like, yeah. And maybe it's not common. Maybe if you are so emotionally unaware, maybe this would be a good source for you. Yeah. It's just not.
It just didn't hit the mark for us. And I was really hoping that it was going to be like Badass Habits, where Michaela was like, oh yeah, no, like, this book really didn't do anything for me. And I was like, oh my goodness, it was amazing. I learned so much. I was kind of hoping it was going to be one of that, because she finished it before I did. And she's like, yeah, Journey, this book is rough. Good luck. Yeah. And I was like, oh, great. Thanks. I'm so excited.
Yeah. But the information in here, the 160 pages, is not worth the $33 for a physical copy.
We paid $33.
No, okay. we paid $13.99.
Okay, good.
For a digital copy. But for a physical copy, it's not worth $30. There's not enough...
It's basically just like a pamphlet of how to be a person.
Yeah. And I just think there's other ways of going about it. Like, there's other books. Even Badass Habits tells you to reflect more, and it's not necessarily targeted for prickly people in your life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I feel like this definitely, it could have been done better for sure.
It could have been condensed.
It could have been like 4 pages.
You just sectioned down to 1?
Yep.
But...
Because, the intro was all I wrote down for most of the sections, because that's all you needed to know. So if you just wrote it in a list...
Do you want to know its bestsellers rank?
Oh, no.
It's number 1,116 in interpersonal relationships.
Oh, my gosh.
It was way down the line there.
Good. Are there any other funny reviews?
Short paragraphs for one of each quote-unquote page of the book. Might be helpful for those living with mild porcupine, but not really helpful with coping mechanisms for those of us who live with a permanently angry porcupine.
Ooh. Yeah.
No substance of any of the info. I didn't even bother to finish it. The free sample of the book only gets you the foreword done by someone else instead of the actual book author. I wouldn't know not to waste my money.
So maybe we'll learn from this, and we will read some reviews before we decide on the book that we're reading. But it's kind of nice to switch it up and have a bad book instead of just hitting them all out of the park, you know?
A book that it just didn't hit the mark.
It just wasn't... It wasn't great.
Basically, I got, quote-unquote, walk on eggshells around a porcupine.
Literally! Make yourself small so they don't fluff up.
Yeah. Not good.
Not good.
Anyways, to wrap this up, we have a completely random, kind of fun segment.
He fell over. Yeah, we don't normally do segments with books, but we figured this episode was maybe going to be a bit shorter. So
if you got to this point,
congrats.
This is for you.
Read the book and let us know.
Basically, we found this BuzzFeed article that says, do you prefer these foods hot or cold?
Yeah, I'm so excited.
So, do you think brownies are better hot or cold?
Well, I
hard.
don't like brownies. Oh, geez. They're about the same for me. What about you?
I like a cold brownie. I like when it's like fudgier.
Okay. I like the crunchy of the outside.
Okay.
Like if I was to get an edge piece that's crunchy, that would be my favorite part. So maybe cold then.
Yeah. Are you team hot coffee or iced coffee?
Oh, jeez.
I'm gonna have to go hot.
I think I'm team iced.
I drink more hot drinks than I do iced. I like iced matchas.
I would prefer iced drinks, but I do drink more hot drinks. But I like the idea of an iced drink a little bit better.
What about cookies? Like a chocolate chip cookie?
Oh, again, I don't love chocolate chip cookies.
Okay, any kind of cookie that you eat.
Probably cold. I've never really had them hot.
I like a nice gooey hot cookie.
Yeah.
Like a freshly baked cookie.
No, that does sound good.
This one's hard for me. Do you prefer hot or cold pizza?
Oh, probably hot. They're both good, but I will warm up day-old pizza.
Okay, my hot take is that I love cold chicken pot pie and cold pizza are the two best leftovers to have. And so I will eat cold pizza all the time. So
I couldn't do cold chicken pot pie, but I can do cold pizza.
You're saying they prefer it though, but I like a fresh, like, this is gonna be so specific and dramatic. I love when it's like an authentic Italian, like just margarita pizza with like the thin,
like almost flatbread crusty.
Yeah, that's
but
like
not flatbread
on the baked on the stone. Like I love that hot. Like that's like, give me that. If that's like the pizza I'm having. If it's Domino's, I could give two craps.
Yeah,
if it's
Domino's is good hot and cold.
Yeah. Thoughts on hot versus cold chocolate? Okay, do you like melted chocolate or like...
Oh, hard chocolate.
Hard
chocolate.
Yeah.
I can't do the texture of the melted so much.
Yeah, I don't mind it, but yeah, hard chocolate for sure.
Yeah.
Hot or cold sandwiches?
See, I'm learning I like hot sandwiches.
Oh, yeah?
Because I enjoy at work that we grill our sandwiches.
Yeah.
But I think I just like them grilled and then I let them cool down because I feel like they're yummier once they've been grilled and cooled down.
For me, it depends on the bread.
That's true. That's also true.
Yeah. Ciabatta, grilled.
So good.
Cheese.
Cold.
I like it hot. I like melted cheese.
Oh, I can't do the texture of it. It hits me right in my gag reflex. I just can't do it. I cannot do it. It's weird.
Bread. Hot or cold?
Hot.
Yeah.
Nothing like a fresh loaf of bread.
Yeah. I agree. Cake. I've never had... I guess I've had hot cake.
I'm going to say cold.
Yeah, I agree. Cold.
Yeah.
Cold cake.
Man, this is just making me hungry.
Hot versus cold tea. I like cold teas.
Hot. I don't know that I like iced tea, like Nestea iced tea. So I'm going to go with hot tea.
I used to go to like David's Tea in the mall, and they had this one flavor called glitter and gold, and it was the best flavor. They discontinued it. I'm so sad.
So sad.
But I would always get it iced, and it was just so good.
Yeah.
Apple pie, hot or cold?
Oh, I think cold for that one.
Ooh, hot. Hot with cheese and ice cream.
Cheese. I still haven't tried cheese on apple pie yet.
Oh, it's so good.
But I tried, I think it was like cheese on, it was either apple jam or like raspberry jam on toast. That was really yummy. I liked that.
Similar vibe. Deli meats?
Cold.
Yeah.
The idea of a hot deli meat makes me very uncomfortable.
But that's like pepperoni on pizza.
I guess so. I don't know. I'm thinking just like sliced chicken breast kind of thing, and I'm just like, ooh. No, thank you.
And finally, chicken. Fried chicken. Hot or cold?
Hot.
Hot. The crunch.
Why would you... Because wouldn't it get soggy if it was cold? Because that means it was once hot, and then it cooled down, and now it's just soggy chicken.
Yeah. I'm thinking like fried chicken. I want the crunch. Like it's gotta be warm.
Yeah, the crispy. Oh, I had the yummiest fried chicken sandwich last night. So good. Because we ordered from South Street Burger, and they have like, you can like customize your own burger or whatever.
Oh, fun.
I know. I feel like this isn't a novel thing. Or like is a novel thing, and I'm just like, wow, did you know this? But yeah, I put like caramelized onions on it, sauteed mushrooms, lettuce, mustard, and salt and pepper, and it was so good. Yeah, salt and pepper on the sandwich really made it, actually. Yeah, no, definitely good.
I guess also, if you made it to the end here, welcome to our new setup. I got a new lens, so we're not as in your face.
Yeah, we're playing with it. It's gonna be nice. Yeah.
And so, thank you for tuning into this drawn out episode.
Yeah. Thanks for spending your Valentine's Day with us.
Sorry we didn't teach you anything. We just said how much. Just don't read this book.
This is what not to do.
Yeah.
Don't waste your Valentine's Day reading How to Hug a Porcupine.
It's not worth it.
How to Kill a Porcupine.
Yeah. Any blog article out there says the same stuff. So
yeah, it felt like a blog article very much so. But yeah, we hope your Valentine's Day is filled with love, whether that is self-love or actually especially self-love, and friendship love and romantic love and familial love, and we hope you had a good day. And thanks for spending it with us if you're watching us on release day. Yeah. Sorry, my necklace didn't light up. It's kind of disappointing.
This whole episode's kind of disappointing. Yeah. So we're just gonna cut it out. I think we dragged it out enough.
Oh yeah.
I'm Mak Joy.
I'm Mak Jubes.
We are sometimes Ciabatta Slaps on all social media platforms. If you like us, because give us a like, a comment, subscribe.
Let us know what you like and what you don't like.
If this is your first episode, this is not...
It gets better.
Yeah, this is not an accurate representation of our content.
Oh my goodness. But we love you guys. Thank you for watching.
And ta-ta for now.
Ta-ta for now.
Bye.
Bye.
Today's book club.
Oh yeah, because I announced my prickly little friend, and you said this episode is, or this book is.